The galaxy was tired. War had left scars on countless planets, drained resources, and taken the lives of millions. For decades, civilizations fought over territory, resources, and power. But now, after years of endless battles, many hoped for a new beginning. They longed for peace. It was a fragile hope, but it was there. When the alien emissaries arrived, bringing messages of peace, the leaders of Earth and its allies listened closely. The aliens spoke in calm voices, promising to end the violence and open a new era of cooperation and friendship. Many believed this might finally be the break they had waited for. Humans, too, wanted peace. The horrors of war had left deep wounds on Earth. Entire cities had been destroyed. Families torn apart. Soldiers returned with empty eyes and heavy hearts. The chance for peace felt like a miracle. But peace can be dangerous. No one is built on lies. From the moment the alien ships appeared near Earth's orbit, some in the human military felt uneasy. These ships were unlike any they had seen before. Sleek, silent, yet heavily armored. Their movements were slow, but calculated, almost too perfect. Satellites detected strange signals coming from the ship's signals that didn't match any known communication. The scientists tried to decode them, but failed. The signals were encrypted in a way that suggested they wanted to hide something. At first, Earth's leaders ignored the warnings. The desire for peace blinded many. Meetings began. Representatives from Earth and the alien species sat face to face for the first time. The halls were filled with hope. Promises were exchanged. The aliens spoke of unity and shared prosperity. For many, it was hard to believe that after so much bloodshed, something good could come from the stars. But the soldiers on Earth watched the skies with suspicion. Then, silence was shattered. One clear morning, as Earth's population went about their daily lives, a sudden explosion rocked a space station orbiting the planet. The explosion was unlike any accident or natural disaster. It was precise, targeted, and deadly. The station's defenses had been disabled in seconds. Panic spread quickly as news of the attack reached Earth's surface. The alien emissaries claimed it was a malfunction, an accident caused by faulty equipment. But some humans knew better. The signals intercepted earlier matched the timing of the attack. It was no accident. It was a warning, but warning of what? The humans didn't respond immediately. They wanted proof before accusing their guests of betrayal. They studied the wreckage, analyzed the remains of the station, and scanned the skies for further threats. For days, there was silence. Then came the second attack. This time, it was a strike on a military outpost on one of Earth's moons. The outpost was critical for monitoring space traffic and defending Earth against possible threats. The attack was swift and brutal. Several soldiers lost their lives, and equipment was destroyed beyond repair. The aliens again denied responsibility, calling it a tragic accident caused by technical failures. But humans were no longer fooled. The peace talks continued, but behind closed doors, preparations for war were quietly set in motion. The leaders ordered their best scientists and engineers to work on new weapons. They began to rebuild defenses that had been dismantled in hopes of peace. The people of Earth began to feel the tension in the air. Everyday life carried on, but beneath the surface, fear and suspicion grew. What had seemed like a hopeful new beginning was quickly turning into a nightmare in secret. A team of human spies was sent to gather more information. They infiltrated alien ships, hacked into communications, and uncovered shocking secrets. The peaceful emissaries were not what they seemed. They were part of a larger plan to weaken Earth from within. Before launching a full-scale attack, the spies found proof that the aliens had been developing weapons capable of destroying entire cities in seconds. They were also experimenting with biological agents designed to cripple human soldiers. The worst part was that the aliens had disguised these weapons as peace gifts. To Earth, a betrayal that cut deeper than any war. With this knowledge, humans knew they had no choice but to prepare for the worst. The hope for peace was shattered, replaced by the cold reality of war. But even in this darkness, humans found strength. Military leaders called on humanity's greatest minds to create new technologies that could turn the tide. Engineers worked day and night to build railguns, ships with armor stronger than any known metal, defense systems that could detect enemy attacks before they happened. Human soldiers trained harder than ever before. They studied alien tactics, learned their weaknesses, and prepared for the battle that was coming. The galaxy watched with bated breath. Many wondered if Earth would survive the coming storm. Others believed that humans were too unpredictable, too fierce to be defeated. For the aliens, the mistake was clear. They had underestimated their opponent. They thought Earth's desire for peace would make humans weak. They thought the humans would fall without a fight. They were wrong. As tensions rose, the galaxy held its breath. War was no longer a distant fear. It was at Earth's doorstep, and humanity was ready to show its true fury. The hope that peace would save them was gone. What remained was a silent promise whispered across Earth's command centers and battlefields. Those who brought war to Earth would regret it. The war had begun. The hope for peace was gone, shattered by betrayal and violence. The peaceful talks had been nothing but a mask. The attacks on the space station and the moon outpost were warnings, and now the aliens were ready to wage full-scale war. Earth was no longer safe, and the entire human race faced a threat unlike any before. But the humans were not helpless. Far from it. In the years before the peace talks, many in the human military had worked quietly on secret projects, new weapons, new ships, new tactics. They had been preparing for the worst, just in case. And now, that preparation was about to pay off. The first true battle erupted suddenly, without warning. Alien warships appeared in Earth's orbit, sleek and deadly. Their weapons glowed with an eerie light, and their engines hummed with raw power. They moved fast, targeting Earth's defenses with precision. But the humans were ready. Hidden in the shadows of the solar system were Earth's own warships, armed with railguns and plasma cannons, and pilots who had trained for years. To face this moment, as the alien fleet unleashed its fury, the humans fired back harder than anyone expected. Railguns fired long bursts of metal slugs at incredible speeds, punching holes through the aliens' thick armor. Plasma cannons burned through shields with bright blue flames. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Explosions lit up the darkness of space like fireworks. For many watching, it was shocking. The galaxy had heard stories of human weakness and fear. Many believed humans would be easy to defeat, but what they saw was different. Humans fought with fierce determination, with a burning will to survive and protect their home. They were not just defending Earth, they were sending a message to the entire galaxy. Don't underestimate humanity on Earth. The people lived in fear and hope at the same time. Cities installed emergency systems, and civilians prepared for possible evacuations. Broadcasts showed scenes of battles above the atmosphere, ships clashing in fiery duels. Children listened to stories of heroism and sacrifice. Knowing that their future depended on the bravery of soldiers in the stars, the alien commanders, shocked by the humans' unexpected strength, changed their tactics. They started attacking supply lines, trying to cut off Earth's resources and force a surrender. But humans adapted quickly. Using their knowledge of the solar system, they set traps and ambushes. Small, fast ships darted through asteroid fields and debris, striking enemy vessels before disappearing again into the darkness. The war grew brutal. Space battles spilled over to the Moon and Mars, where humans had built bases and colonies. Alien forces tried to capture these strategic points, knowing that controlling them meant controlling Earth's future. But humans fought back with relentless energy, using guerrilla tactics and clever strategies to keep the enemy off balance. Despite the horrors of war, the human spirit remained unbroken. Soldiers formed close bonds, sharing stories and hopes, even as they faced death. Commanders inspired their troops with speeches about freedom, family, and the fight for survival. And scientists worked non-stop, improving weapons and defenses, always looking for an edge. But even with all this strength, humans knew the war was far from over. The aliens had secrets they had not yet revealed. Deep in their command centers, Plans were being made for a devastating new weapon, one that could destroy entire cities in minutes, or worse. Humans could only guess what horrors awaited. The turning point came when a daring human, pilot named Sarah, led a dangerous mission deep into enemy territory. With a small squadron, she infiltrated an alien shipyard where new weapons were being built. The mission was risky. Many believed it would be a suicide run. But Sarah and her team were determined. Using stealth and cunning, they sabotaged key facilities, destroying production lines and stealing valuable intelligence. The mission was a success, but not without cost. Several pilots were lost, and Sarah herself barely escaped. Her bravery became a legend, inspiring more humans to stand and fight. With the new intelligence, Earth's scientists gained clues about the enemy's secret weapon. They raced against time to develop countermeasures, creating defenses that could withstand even the deadliest attacks. The war grew into a battle of technology and willpower, each side pushing harder, faster. The galaxy watched with growing fear. Other species began to take sides, some helping Earth, others joining the alien alliance. The war was no longer just a fight for Earth, it was a clash of civilizations that could change the fate of the stars. But through it all, humans held one advantage: their unpredictable nature. They adapted, they fought with passion, and they never gave up. The aliens had brought war to the wrong species, as one battle after another raged across space. One thing became clear: this war would not end quickly, and it would not end easily. Humanity was ready to fight to the last breath. The war had been raging for months now, spreading like wildfire across the solar system and beyond. Earth's skies were scarred by battle, but the humans showed no sign of surrender. Their defense was fierce and unyielding, yet even as Earth fought with all its might, a darker threat was growing, one born not just of alien hate, but of secret alliances and betrayals. The aliens who had first come seeking peace were only part of a much larger force. Behind the scenes, they had joined with other hostile species, some known, some mysterious. These new allies brought powerful fleets, advanced weapons, and brutal tactics. Their goal was clear: to crush humanity and claim Earth's resources. For themselves, when news of this alliance reached Earth, it shook the leaders to their core. They knew the war had just grown far more dangerous. The enemy was no longer a single species, but a united front with vast strength: human intelligence. Agents worked around the clock to gather more information. Spies infiltrated alien networks, hacking communications and decoding secret messages. The discoveries were chilling. The Allied forces planned coordinated strikes across multiple planets, aiming to break human resistance piece by piece. But worse than that was the betrayal from within. One of Earth's supposed allies, an alien species that had promised support and friendship, was secretly feeding information to the enemy alliance. This betrayal was a knife in the back, a blow that threatened to shatter human hopes. The humans called an emergency meeting of their council. Leaders debated fiercely, trying to decide how to respond. Trust was hard to come by now. Every decision was weighed carefully. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Meanwhile, the humans planned a daring counterattack. They decided to strike the heart of the enemy alliance, the massive shipyards in command. Centers where new warships and weapons were being built. It was a risky mission, deep behind enemy lines, but it was the only way to slow the enemies. Advance. The operation was led by Commander Lee, a veteran known for his sharp mind and fearless spirit. With a small fleet of stealth ships, he and his team slipped past enemy patrols, moving through asteroid fields and debris to avoid detection. The tension was high. One mistake could mean disaster. Inside the enemy territory, they found massive factories churning out new ships faster than Earth's own production. The sight was overwhelming. Ships with weapons far beyond what humans had seen before. Designed to destroy entire planets, the humans planted explosives and hacked into the enemy systems to cause chaos. Alarms blared, and enemy forces scrambled to respond. A fierce battle broke out, with laser fire and missiles lighting up the dark void. Commander Lee's fleet fought with desperate courage. determined to complete their mission and escape. But the enemy was relentless. One of the allied species deployed a deadly weapon that targeted the human stealth technology. Several human ships were damaged or destroyed. The mission's success was in doubt. Just when all seemed lost, a surprise rescue came from an unexpected source. A group of neutral alien species, those tired of war and destruction, had secretly sided with humans. They sent reinforcements that turned the tide, allowing Commander Lee's fleet to retreat with valuable intelligence and damaged enemy infrastructure back on Earth. The information gathered was invaluable. Scientists studied enemy ship designs, weaknesses in their weapons, and new technologies that could be reverse-engineered. Military planners adjusted their strategies, preparing for the next phase of the war. But the betrayal within Earth's own ranks remained a troubling mystery. Who could be trusted? Which allies were truly loyal and which were waiting for the right moment to strike? Amid this uncertainty, human soldiers pushed forward with determination. They knew that the survival of their species depended not only on strength but also on trust, unity, and cleverness. The war was no longer just about weapons and battles. It was a test of human will and resilience. As the Allied forces regrouped, humans prepared for what might be their toughest fight yet. The stakes were higher than ever. The galaxy watched, waiting to see who would emerge victorious. One thing was certain: humanity would never back down. They had come too far and fought too hard to surrender now. The battle for Earth and the future of all humans was far from over. The war had only just begun. The war had entered a new phase. Earth was battered, but unbroken. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humans were not like any other species. They fought not just with weapons, but with heart, with courage, and with a stubborn will to survive. Time and again, humans turned the tide when all hope seemed lost. And now, they revealed a secret that shocked the enemy and changed everything. Behind the scenes, scientists and engineers had been working on a weapon unlike any before. It was not just powerful, it was revolutionary. The first human railgun, a weapon that used electromagnetic force to launch projectiles at unimaginable speeds, was ready. It could punch through the thickest armor, shred enemy ships, and strike with deadly precision from great distances. When the first railgun fired in battle, it shattered silence across the galaxy. Enemy fleets were caught off guard as their heavily armored ships were ripped apart. The once confident alien commanders suddenly faced a new reality. Human technology was advancing faster than they had predicted. The railgun's power was more than just weapons. It was a symbol. It told the galaxy that humans would fight smarter and harder than anyone imagined, that they would use every advantage to defend their home. In the early battles, the railgun proved its worth. Enemy ships that had been considered nearly invincible were reduced to floating wrecks in seconds. Human pilots used it to control space, protect colonies, and strike deep into enemy territory. But the aliens would not surrender easily. They began developing countermeasure shields that could absorb the railgun's impact. New armor materials and faster ships designed to dodge its blasts. The war became a deadly chess game, with each side adapting quickly. The battlefields shifted. Space fights were joined by ground skirmishes on the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Humans deployed special forces to sabotage enemy supply lines, gather intelligence, and disrupt operations. Meanwhile, tensions inside human ranks rose. Some questioned whether using such destructive weapons was right. There were fears that this war would destroy not only the enemy but also the very soul of humanity. Despite these doubts, leaders pushed forward. They believed survival was the highest goal, and every weapon was a tool to protect the future. One of the most skilled pilots, Captain Jackson, became a legend. He flew his railgun-armed fighter with unmatched skill, taking on enemy squadrons and missions that seemed impossible. His daring raids inspired troops and civilians alike, turning hope into belief. Yet, even as humans celebrated small victories, the enemy unleashed a terrifying new weapon: massive dreadnought. Bristling with weapons and shields, capable of wiping out entire fleets. Its arrival brought fear and destruction, forcing humans to rethink their strategy once again. Battles grew more intense and desperate. Cities on Earth implemented blackout protocols to avoid detection by enemy sensors. People prepared for long sieges and shortages. The war was no longer something far away, it was in their homes, their streets, and their hearts. In this chaos, human scientists worked feverishly to find weaknesses in the dreadnought and other enemy weapons. They studied every battle, every piece of recovered technology, searching for an advantage. And slowly they found cracks in the enemy's armor flaws that only human ingenuity could exploit as the war stretched on. Humans learned that winning would require more than just weapons. It would require strategy, sacrifice, and the unbreakable spirit to keep fighting when all seemed lost. The galaxy watched, amazed and fearful. The species it had once dismissed as weak now stood as a powerful force that could change the fate. Of all worlds, the humans had found their edge, and with it, they were ready to face whatever horrors the enemy had left to throw at them. The war had dragged on longer than anyone expected. Earth and its colonies were scarred, and the human spirit was tested like never before. Just when it seemed that humanity had the upper hand, the enemy revealed their deadliest weapon yet one. Designed not just to destroy ships or soldiers, but to erase entire colonies from existence in moments. This weapon was unlike anything humans had faced. It was a massive energy cannon, capable of firing blasts that could vaporize cities, tear through planets, and leave nothing behind but silence. The weapon's power was terrifying, and it changed the balance of the war in an instant. When the first colony was destroyed, panic swept across Earth. Families watched in horror as their homes, their friends, their future vanished in a flash of light. The galaxy gasped, realizing this war had entered a new, more brutal stage. But humans did not fall into despair. Instead, their resolve grew stronger. Scientists raced to understand the enemy's weapon, searching for weaknesses and ways to fight back. They worked day and night, driven by a burning need to protect their people. Soldiers on the front lines faced the weapon's destruction with courage. Many fought knowing their lives could be ended by a single blast. Stories of heroism spread quickly, of men and women who sacrificed themselves to save others, who stood firm against impossible odds. One such story was that of Lieutenant Mira, a communications officer on a remote outpost. When the enemy's blast struck, she coordinated the evacuation, guiding survivors through enemy fire and collapsing structures. Her quick thinking saved hundreds, and her bravery became a beacon of hope. On Earth, leaders made hard decisions. They ordered counterattacks aimed at the weapons source, sending elite teams on dangerous missions deep into enemy territory. These missions were risky, with few returning, but each success brought new hope. One such mission uncovered a shocking truth. The weapon was powered by a rare, dangerous substance harvested from dead worlds. The enemy's plan was not just destruction, it was a brutal cycle of death and resource theft. This revelation changed everything. Humans knew they had to stop the weapon at its source, or risk losing everything, but the enemy was not willing to give up their advantage. They launched fierce defenses around the weapon's location, using every tactic and technology they had to protect it. The battles to reach this target were some of the deadliest in the war. Space fighters clashed in fiery dogfights. Boarding parties fought hand-to-hand in dark corridors. Explosions shook the enemy's stronghold. Through it all, human spirit refused to break. The tide of war began to shift again, as humans struck deep into enemy lines and destroyed key facilities. But victory came at a high cost. Lives were lost, cities damaged, and hope stretched thin. Still, even in the darkest moments, humans found strength in each other. They remembered why they fought: family, freedom, and the chance for a better future. The war was far from over, but humanity had faced its darkest hour and survived. The galaxy watched closely. The battle for survival was not just about weapons and power, but about the will to keep fighting when all seemed lost. For the humans, the future was uncertain, but their determination burned brighter than ever. They knew the final battle was coming, and they were ready. The galaxy had never seen a war like this. Battles had raged across star systems, Destruction stretched over countless worlds. But now it all came down to this, the final fight for Earth's survival and humanity's future. The enemy had thrown everything they had at humans, from secret alliances to devastating weapons. But the humans still stood, stronger and more determined than ever. Earth's leaders called together their best commanders, scientists, and diplomats. They knew the last battle would be the most brutal and decisive. If they lost, humanity could be wiped from the stars forever. If they won, the galaxy would have to accept a new power, one that refused to bow or break. To face this threat, humans formed new alliances. Some former enemies, tired of endless war, joined forces with Earth. Together, they built a massive fleet ships armed with railguns, plasma cannons, and new defensive technologies born from desperation and hope. The enemy fleet gathered too, a terrifying armada of dreadnoughts, fighters, and weapon platforms. Their goal was clear: to crush Earth once and for all. As the two great fleets approached each other in the blackness of space, tension was unbearable. Millions watched from Earth and distant colonies, holding their breath. This battle would decide the fate of countless lives. The fight began with a thunderous roar. Energy blasts lit up the darkness, missiles streaked through space, and ships weaved through deadly fire. Explosions shook the void as fighters clashed in desperate dogfights. On the front lines, human pilots flew with unmatched bravery. Captain Jackson, now a seasoned hero, led daring strikes that broke enemy formations. His railgun shots tore through enemy shields, while his quick thinking saved lives in tight situations. On the ground, soldiers prepared for invasions and sabotage attempts. Every corner of Earth and its colonies became a battlefield. Civilians took shelter, hoping and praying for victory. Amid the chaos, leaders made hard choices. Sacrifices were necessary to protect the greater good. Friendships were tested, and betrayals surfaced. But through it all, the will to survive and protect burned bright. The battle lasted days. Both sides suffered heavy losses. Entire starships were destroyed, and countless brave souls fell. But humanity's determination never wavered. In a final, desperate move, the enemy unleashed their most powerful weapon, hoping to end the war in a single strike. But humans had prepared for this. Scientists had developed a shield technology capable of absorbing the blast and turning it against the attacker. As the weapon fired, the shield held strong. The blast reflected back, destroying the enemy flagship and causing chaos among their ranks. Seizing this moment, human fleets launched a massive counterattack. Enemy forces scattered, and the tide of battle turned decisively. When the smoke cleared, Earth and its allies stood victorious. But victory came at a price. Cities were in ruins, families were broken, and the scars of war would take generations to heal. Yet the spirit of humanity was unbroken. Leaders vowed to rebuild and create a future where peace was not just a dream, but a lasting reality. They warned the galaxy humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. As the survivors looked to the stars, hope returned. The war was over, but the story of human courage, resilience, and fury had only just begun. They had fought the wrong species and won.